When you think streetwear, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably baggy hoodies, giant logos, and those crazy hyped up sneaker drops, right? And for a long time, yeah, you wouldn't be wrong. But that's not the whole story anymore. Not even close. The game has totally changed. Streetwear has grown up. So what is streetwear today in 2025? That is the big question. And to really get to the bottom of it, we've got to clear the air and bust a few of the biggest myths that are still kind of hanging around. Okay, myth number 1, that streetwear is just for kids. And look, it definitely has its roots in youth culture, for sure. But the reality is, the OG designers and the people who started this whole thing, they're in their 30s, 40s, even 50s now. And you better believe the style has grown up right along with them. And then you've got this one, that it's all about being a walking billboard for whatever brand you're wearing. That era of being covered head to toe in massive logos, it's fading. Fast. The focus has shifted to something completely different. And the last big one we hear all the time, that it's just lazy. You know, that you just throw on an oversized hoodie and boom, you're done. No thought required. But as we're about to see, today's streetwear is actually this really smart, really thoughtful mix of comfort and style. All right, so that tees up our first section perfectly. Let's get into what's beyond hoodies and hype. We're going to unpack what the modern streetwear aesthetic really looks like. And wow, this slide just says it all, doesn't it? We're seeing this massive shift away from that loud and baggy look that defined a whole generation, and we're moving toward a subtle and tailored vibe. It's less about shouting to get noticed and more about, having that quiet confidence. So what's the recipe for this new vibe? It really boils down to 3 things: subtlety, quality, and comfort. We're talking about better fabrics, like a heavyweight fleece that just feels good to wear. The branding has gotten way quieter. Think little embroidered details or cool patches instead of a giant logo. And it's all about how you mix it up. Yeah, you can totally rock a hoodie under a blazer now. It's about having clothes you can actually live your life in. But here's the thing, streetwear was never just the clothes on your back. And that brings us to our next section, the culture of cool. Let's get into why this is so much more than just fashion. I love this quote from Remo over at Let's Talk Fashion TV. He says, "Fashion, you have to have fun with what you're wearing." And that's it, right there. That's the heart of it. It's not supposed to be some super serious, rigid thing. It's about playing around, experimenting, and just enjoying it. And he hits on something else that's just as important. When he's looking at someone's style, he says it's authentically him, and he looks comfortable wearing it. And those are the 2 magic words, right? Authenticity and confidence. It's about your clothes being a real reflection of you, not some costume you're just trying on. So if you really want to define streetwear today, you don't look at a checklist of items. It's so much bigger than that. It's basically a canvas for you to express yourself. Its roots are deep in stuff like music and art and all that energy you find in a city. It's not just a look, it's a cultural statement about who you are and what community you connect with. Okay, but let's talk about the elephant in the room, the price tag. If this is a cultural statement, how much does it cost to make it? Because streetwear is famous for those insane drops and crazy prices. That leads us right into section 3, price tag versus people power. We're going to explore that tension between being super exclusive and, being for everyone. All right, check this out. On one side of the ring, you've got the hype. This vintage high street printed hoodie, it'll set you back over $100. So let's put these 2 head to head. The more expensive one, yeah, it's got that classic cotton blend, going for that urban street style look. The other one, it's all about that polyester and rhinestone statement street luxe vibe. The point here isn't that one is better. It's that the word streetwear covers a huge range of styles and, more importantly, price points. And here's the plot twist. That second hoodie, the flashy one, it's just $23. I mean, the difference is just wild. And it totally shatters that myth that you have to be rich to get into streetwear. It's just not true. So what's the bottom line here? Authenticity doesn't have to come with a crazy price tag. The real core of streetwear has always been about being accessible. I mean, think about legendary brands like Carhartt, WIP, and Dickies. They've been serving up quality and realness for years without breaking the bank. Plus, you've got the whole resale market now, so even those super hyped pieces are gettable if you're willing to hunt a little. Okay, but all this growth, both the high-end hype and the super affordable stuff, has created a pretty big problem. And an inconvenient truth, really. And that brings us to section 4, streetwear's sustainability problem. Whoa. Okay, just take a second to let this sink in. A staggering 73% of all clothes end up in a landfill. To make that even more real, that's like an entire garbage truck's worth of textiles being dumped every single second. And yeah, with its constant cycle of new drops, streetwear is a huge part of that problem. This quote from High Snowbody just nails it. They say that rapid business growth has turned streetwear into fast fashion for predominantly young men. And that's the danger, right? The whole drop model, where something new comes out every week, it just feeds this cycle of endless consumption. It makes the cool thing you bought last week feel old news, so you're always pressured to just buy more. So what do we do about it? It feels huge, but there are some clear steps forward. First, brands gotta lead with better products, right? Use recycled or organic materials. Second, they need to just slow down. Urge customers to buy less, offer repairs, rethink the whole weekly drop thing. Third, there are small wins, like just using recycled tags and packaging. And finally, and this is a big one, they need to use their collective power. Share new ideas instead of keeping them secret, like what Allbirds did when they made their sustainable foam recipe available for anyone to use. That's the vibe. So all of this really brings streetwear to a crossroads. Let's wrap it all up in our final section. The future of the fit and how the culture is redefining what it really means to be cool. All right, so if we put it all together, what have we got? Streetwear is clearly in a massive period of change. The look itself is growing up, moving past the loud logos and hype and focusing more on quality that lasts. But the idea behind it, the culture, it's kind of caught in this battle between being all about self-expression, which is amazing, and this dangerous reality of overconsumption. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. As this whole world keeps changing, is the future of streetwear going to be defined by what you wear or by what you stand for?